I just wanted to talk quickly about when you're working on people. You're working on people and you see their brain.
Mm-hmm.
You see their brain and how it's working.
Yes.
Not everyone can do that. So could you talk about that, please?
How I see a brain, for example?
Well, I mean, if I just mention somebody, you can see their brain.
Yes, I can. I do try not to sometimes. When I see somebody's brain, I see it in terms of how it functions and what's disrupted in its function that is preventing the person from functioning as a whole in a physical, spiritual, and emotionally balanced way. So I see the matter. It's more than just seeing the matter in the brain, although that's important. It's also about seeing the synapses and seeing it in the context of the person's whole being, which is soul. So lots of times I perceive what is happening in the head, in the brain, or in the body that is stopping the person from acting on what the soul is trying to get them to do. And what we see is where the openings are for greater connection to self as a whole thing can occur. This is vital because our souls are love, limitless, eternal love made of God. And so when we can access that more wholly in our bodies, we become much healthier in all ways. So creating a connection between ourselves and soul and ourselves and creative source is the very thing that heals. That's why the work is called the love connection. That's why I've been called the love connector. I'm not a healer. I'm a person who facilitates a process of connection to all that each of us are as part of something bigger. I see the brain and how it functions, the synapses. I see how different organs are functioning. I can see where the blockages to complete function will occur. So I might see that as an injury from an actual physical injury, or an emotional injury, or a past life trauma, or something, a belief system that's in the way which has an odd energy to it because it blocks truth, which doesn't let the body be whole. We have to recognize that our belief systems can interfere with our ability to be whole. If we hold belief systems that are not true, that can disrupt our healing process. So we need to be willing to let that energy shift as well.
That's such a key point.
Yeah. There is a foundational truth of the universe. And the foundational truth of the universe is that God is love, and we are made of God, so we are love. And love is an energy or a force that meets all needs, includes everything, and never causes any harm. So that is the foundational truth of the universe. If we hold belief systems that go against the foundational truth of the universe, we are at odds with the universe, and we experience the results of that, which can be disease state. Not just physical disease, but the type of mental disease or emotional disease that allows us to harm ourselves or others. We can only harm one another, or harm ourselves, or harm the earth, or whatever, through being disconnected from the foundational truth of the universe and being in opposition to it. So we need to move into a state whereby we don't let belief systems that we've accumulated because they might serve something in our life that we think we need, get in the way of the foundational truth of the universe being enacted in our thoughts, words, and deeds.
When something really terrible happens, people say, why did God let this happen to me?
One of the things that really greatly distresses me is when people have traumatic events or really terrible things that happen in their life, and they say, why did God let this happen to me? The reason it distresses me is because it's so untruthful, and it blocks their own ability to access comfort and love that heals. The things that happen in our world where we get harmed are created here We create them for one another. What keeps people separated from God and from truth and from healing is when they hold untrue belief systems about the source of creation itself. The source of creation is love. The basic understanding of that is to know that the source of creation encompasses everything in creation, includes everything in creation, meets all needs, never causes harm. So that's the foundational truth of the universe. That is what God is. When we hold belief systems otherwise, we are in disconnect from the truth of what God is, and we can't access all that God is able to do in our lives. We need to let go of belief systems that put dualistic and unloving traits onto God. People have created these over many, many years, created belief systems about God that are not truth. So there's been, governments, there's been organizations that have created belief systems that are untruthful about God and created whole structures based on this untruth that is actually running really important things in our world in a really separated state. God does not want war. God does not want negative things to happen. God does not want hate. God doesn't hate anything. God can't hate anything. God is love. It's bigger than saying God loves. God is love. We know what love is because God is it. So we need to be willing to let go of any belief systems that separate us from that definition or understanding of love. God doesn't punish. God doesn't want sacrifice. God doesn't hate this or hate that. It can't happen. We need to be willing to let our mind go to the greater truth. We need to be willing to let go of the structures and organizations that perpetuate the untruth and put this in its appropriate context. The things that religion or government or organizations are telling us God is that don't fit with that definition, we need to let go of that and move into the truth of what God is. That's where healing begins. That's where healing becomes complete.